what are some natural ways we can get the same effects that maybe a Ozempic will give, but still maintain our muscle and be more natural and things that we can maintain?
There are a lot of like probiotics out there, like Akkermansia has been shown to sedate your appetite a little bit. There is something, it's called immunoglobulins that you'd get from colostrum. That has been shown to help to be as a GLP. And then fiber. Just making sure that you're getting lots of fiber in your diet. That is one thing that people usually ignore. And I don't mean just getting fiber from vegetables, but actually supplementing with it as well. Something that's going to bind and expand. That could be like a psyllium husk, just as an example. But a combination of those things usually help a lot of people.
To be super muscular, all right? And then as I get older, and I've worked out like a fiend for forever, like since I was like in my teens, right? And so my body is adapted so well to that. But as you get older, the same things that worked when you were 20 or 25 don't necessarily have the same effects it has when you're 40, 45, 50. How do people, as they're like middle age, maintain and also still build muscle and look the same like you? Like you're 50 years old and you're still ripped. And I'm presuming you're not on any steroids since you
No,
are natural,
no
So
HRT, nothing like that.
no, not even HRT,
No.
because what I was going to actually ask you, and I didn't want to be rude, but now that you mentioned it, like most of the people I know who are in their middle age, like 45, 50, even 55, whatever, who look really muscular, they're on a lot of HRT. They're on testosterone. They're cycling a lot of like other HGH. They're doing a lot of peptides. They're really doing a lot of injectable things to kind of get them to that place where they can really lean out. How do we do it naturally?
Okay, well, that's a very open-ended question. So the one thing that I really
Purposefully.
focus on is, there's a lot of estrogenics in our society, estrogen mimickers. We could be cooking with Teflon. We could be utilizing the microwave. We could be open ourselves to a lot of EMFs. Some people are more electrosensitive than
Mm.
others. There's plastics. People are utilizing plastics all the time. They're eating out of plastics, and then obviously it can be in our water. So I always look at people's air, water, and their environment to ensure that, okay, the skincare products that you're using, the hair products, the laundry detergent, is it natural or is it synthetic? Have they got estrogen mimickers in there? Because obviously that's all going to lower your testosterone levels. The one thing that I say is the big thing: people knock out fat from their diet and they knock out their sleep, and their testosterone levels are obviously going to tank, and then they go on TRT, but they haven't fixed the root cause. Now they're just putting a band-aid on it. So I always look at the root cause first. Are they getting sleep? Are they getting sunlight? Maybe there are testosterone precursors that they need to take, such as vitamin D, with K2 obviously, and creatine, progesterone, DHEA. There's so many things that you can do to help elevate your testosterone levels, number one. And then when it comes to maintaining that muscle, obviously testosterone helps with that. You may need to, as you're getting a little bit older, decrease the frequency of your training and the volume of your training. So I used to train like 6 days a week. I recover very, very well, fortunately, for my age. So I brought it down to 5 times a week now. But some people that may have a higher biological age than myself may need to bring it down to 4 days a week, possibly 3 days a week. Again, focusing on the quality, taking longer rests between sets to ensure that you're pushing heavy, and then maybe you are focusing a little bit more on your compound moves to ensure that you are releasing your testosterone, because testosterone in that respect is released more on compounds. And then, as we know, things like the sunlight or red light therapy can help with testosterone as well. So can sauna and ice baths. Ice baths have been shown to really elevate testosterone levels in more and more studies as of recent. Thomas over at Morozko Forge is leading the charge with that.
Really?
Yeah,
So ways to naturally enhance your testosterone is ice baths, red
that's
light
one of them. Yeah,
therapy, red
yeah.
light therapy. I have this amazing, I use this like tri-light from Therasage. It's like a bendable red light. Which one do you use? Are you using a one like a panel, or what are you using?
I've got them all, I think.
I know, I know.
Yeah, so I've got the panels that I'll use in the morning. I've also got what's called a Cerathrive on my head, and I use it for the belly as well for gut health. And I have a Lumaflex that is specifically for joints. So I use them all. I'm a big fan of red light.
So wait, if you have all these different body part ones, how does it work? Are you basically just, is it like are you in like a blanket? Are you just like have pads all over your body, or?
No, the Thrive is two different modalities. One is like a band that goes around the head, and that's focused specifically on brain health. And then you have another one that's like a pad so big that you have on your belly that is specifically targeting for gut health. And then I have another one that's a small one that I usually take when I'm traveling for joints, but maybe I'll use that to help set my circadian rhythm in the morning. When in the or yeah, wherever I'm traveling to, I have the panels at home that I'll get under naked because I want to make sure that I am
Mhm.
shining it on my balls as well for my testosterone production, and of course for my collagen and help set the circadian rhythm and skin health, etc.
I'm shocked that you've never tried that Tri-Light though from Therasage. It's like you can take it wherever you go. You can travel with it. It can go anywhere, your stomach, your balls, your face, wherever you want.
Okay, I'll check that out. Please send me a link. I'll check that out. I don't know if
Yeah,
I've ever seen that one.
absolutely. I'm gonna buy you a present. I'll get you one. Send me your address and I will send you one for being a
I,
guest on my show.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The other thing that I was going to say, and maybe this person would be a great guest for you in the future, is Dr. Dome from Germany. He's like the world's leading biodentist. And the one thing that I noticed when I got long COVID, my testosterone levels really, really dropped, and I had difficulty getting them back up. I had two metal implants in my mouth. He removed those implants. I also had a gold tooth because it looked cool, and I had got it knocked out years ago by a donkey of all things.
A
But when I had this,
donkey?
a donkey, my sister owned a donkey, and I was stroking the donkey one day and it decided to headbutt me. So not a real cool story, but nonetheless, when I had this dental intervention, and Domi talks a lot about this, he's got a great book out called Health Starts in Your Mouth. It's quite common for people's testosterone levels to be drawn down from, maybe they've got mercury in the mouth from amalgams from years ago, or maybe they've got implants. And I noticed two things when I had this dental intervention. It may sound very woo-woo. My testosterone went up and my liver enzymes came right down like almost immediately. So I think there's something to be said there, but Domi would be able to explain that a lot better than I can because he's got a plethora of professional athletes and people that have had the same, and it's fixed them. Maybe they had a
Wow.
molar here that was connected to the knee, for instance, because it's all interconnected from our mouth. And now they fixed that molar, and now that professional footballer's knee is better. It's so bizarre. It's beyond me.
I've never heard that before. So really, when you got that, when the donkey actually did you a favor when he kicked that gold tooth out of your mouth.
Well, no, he hit my tooth out of my mouth. I put a gold tooth in there just to replace it to look cool.
Oh, that's true. Okay, and then
Yeah.
that gold tooth was the one that had the mercury.
No, no, no. That gold tooth, basically, he said that's acting like an antenna, because I have the mobile phone, we're exposed to Wi Fi,
Right,
non
right,
native
right. That's
EMF,
right.
but the implants were leaching into my body. And of course, they were in a place where they shouldn't have been. So he replaced them with ceramics. He does ceramic implants.
Wow. So that's interesting. Like that's how crazy is that? So all these things can be lowering your testosterone and we don't even know it.
Yeah, a lot of it is hidden because, like, if you look at the history of our testosterone levels, most of your listeners will know that it's been plummeting, plummeting year after year. Well, our DNA hasn't changed. What has? Our environment, our air,
Mm-hmm.
our food, obviously satellite, EMF, etc., etc. I could go on, and then obviously, we could talk about, like I said, the hygiene products that we use on a daily basis, the deodorants, etc. They all have a negative effect. So we can do a lot to manage it. Of course, we can't completely avoid it, but we can definitely keep our heads afloat.
Wow. So, wow. So, what is your okay? So, before I even get into your own daily routine, you said something earlier in the beginning about how to how to kind of naturally lose body fat, and you mentioned was it Burberry or some other
Di-
supplement?
Dihydroberberine. Yeah, there's a product that I use. It's called GD Aid. Dihydroberberine is one of those ingredients in there. Sean Wells, as I'm sure you know, was the guy behind that ingredient, and it's a lot more powerful than berberine itself. But then you have other ingredients like chromate. There's just a lot of blood sugar stabilizing ingredients out there that you can take, particularly before a carb-heavy meal. Like a lot of people in the biohacking industry, they'll take metformin before bed, which is fine, but I just take the dihydroberberine.
Actually, can I tell you something? I've never heard of that, and you mentioned this guy Sean Wells. I don't think I met him before.
Oh, okay. He's good friends with Dash, and he's known as the world's leading formulator, but he speaks at a lot of biohacking conferences as well. And yeah, he's a great guy.
I'm
Good
sure
friend of
it's
mine. I'm actually hosting a retreat with him in April in Mexico.
really what kind of retreat?
It'll be a retreat. It'll be myself, Jay Campbell. I don't know if you know Jay. He's like the peptide guru, and Jeff
I met
Daubeny.
him. Yeah,
Okay, so you know
yeah.
Jay. Yeah. So we're hosting a retreat there specifically for people who want to kind of get away from the busy lifestyle that they deal with all the time and learn about, proper nutrition training, stabilizing your blood sugar levels, staying in a parasympathetic state. So we'll be doing like ice baths and sound baths and mezcals right on the beach there. We'll go cenote hopping, but we'll also have educational seminars every day, and we'll be hitting the jungle gym there on a daily basis. It's gonna be a good time.
And so, can you give me some other things? Because let me just say this. I mean, you know this. It's no secret how Ozempic has taken over the weight loss world, right? Like now, you can't shoot a cannon without hitting somebody who uses everybody in the world, especially in Los Angeles, is on Ozempic or one of those
Hmm.
GLP-1s. Um, what is your take on it? And can you give me some other natural Ozempics that people can maybe take without relying on a GLP-1 like that?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's become very prevalent. You were at A4M. There were so many booths there that had GLPs they're exhibiting. Um, I have a
So
problem with
many,
it.
actually. It's become like the new kale.
Yeah. Yeah, that again, that again. Hopefully
Yeah.
that doesn't recycle ourselves.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
But yeah, I have an issue of the way that it's prescribed. Because it's never prescribed with an outcome. It's always basically you're on this forever, regardless of what that person's doing or what that person's eating. There's never a nutritional protocol or a training protocol that accompanies it. As we know, if you are slowing down the gastric emptying process and you're now eating less, then of course you're going to lose a lot of muscle as well. That is not going to be good for mobilizing fatty acids. It's not going to be good for your metabolism. If you do eat something, the chances of you storing that as body fat is going much higher. So you're changing your body composition as well as losing weight. And we should be focusing a little bit more on losing fat. But if you're losing fat and muscle that helps you burn fat, then obviously we're going against the grain. There's never a talk of how many amino acids or how much protein that you should be consuming. And there definitely needs to be some sort of weight bearing workout that's associated with it as well, so you don't lose muscle. Further from that, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician, but I can't talk about certain things that I've heard from people that I know. Someone said they got a cancerous tumor from it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think there needs to be a lot more studies done on it to ensure the safety and efficacy. But that aside, it just needs to be prescribed in the right manner. Like I know somebody that's been on it for over a year, doesn't really look any different. They just look softer to me because they're
Hmm.
still eating crap, just less of it. But now they've lost their muscle as well. So it just looks bad.
Yeah. You know what I find a lot of people are doing in our industry, like the health and fitness industry? They're on it and they're microdosing GLP-1s, right? So they
Got
may
it.
not be taking the full dose, but they're microdosing it. And so that's part of the protocol of them trying to look thinner and leaner, or thinner, you know. You haven't heard this whole thing? You don't know
No,
a lot of people who are microdosing it?
I don't know of anyone personally that's microdosing, but most people that I know are microdosing psilocybin or LSD.
The people I know are microdosing both of those, you know? One
Yeah,
has nothing to do with the other.
yeah.
So then what are some natural ways we can get the same effects that maybe a Ozempic will give, but still maintain our muscle and be more natural and things that we can maintain?
Yeah, so there are a lot of like probiotics out there, like Akkermansia has been shown to sedate your appetite a little bit. There is something, it's called immunoglobulins that you'd get from colostrum. That has been shown to help to be as a GLP. And then fiber, just making sure that you're getting lots of fiber in your diets. That is one thing that people usually ignore. And I don't mean just getting fiber from vegetables, but actually supplementing with it as well. Something that's going to bind and expand. That could be like a psyllium husk, just as an example. But a combination of those things usually help a lot of people. And
You know,
and the other one thing that I mentioned before is the blood sugar stabilizer to ensure that you're taking like a GD8, for instance, to stabilize your blood sugar levels. A lot of people are hungry and they eat unwavering, amount of foods, usually because their blood sugar levels have crashed.